So the week of February 27th through March 5th um, was kind of a 50-50 type week. I got my mileage in. I got 60.2 miles. I was only shooting for 40. Um, wasn't really expecting to get that many. I was going to pull back some, but the way things played out with the weather and then even getting a long run in, putting me at that 60 mile, 60.2 range. So maybe this week I'll pull back a little bit coming up. Got 80.1 miles biking. Probably should have had another session or two to give me 100, but I'll get to the reason for that. But I did 420s. Uh, actually got 1,000 miles biked already this year. That's for the point one. I wanted to make sure Strava and Garmin actually put me over the threshold, so I did that extra tenth that one night. I think it was the one in the middle of the week. It was like the third 20 miler I did this week. Did that, make sure I got 20.1 to hit that 1,000-mile threshold, which is amazing. I think I'm 300 miles over what I was this point last year. So I've been biking a heck of a lot more. I can tell I'm getting in shape a little bit better than I was last year at this point. Did a nice tempo run this week. Did 5 miles. Teeter right on that race pace / tempo run. Didn't really break into zone 5 at all, but it was at echelon between the race pace and tempo. So that was pretty nice. Wasn't sure how that was going to go. I started way too fast. I just jetted out like on a dead sprint. I think it was like a 4:30 pace real quick or 4:25, which is way too fast for a tempo run. I don't know why I did that, but it started to catch up with me, but I reeled myself in, relaxed a little bit, so I was able to finish out the tempo run. I forget what my overall pace was, but I was very happy with it. Not really doing much speed work for a couple weeks. Did get my 2,000 feet of hill repeats in. I went to the Game Commission building this week, went behind there and did a bunch. I believe it was 13 hill repeats is what I had to do this week. Not the easiest hill repeats, but not the hardest either. More of a gravel road access type thing. But it was so nice that day. That was like the 65, 70 degree day this week is when I did those, which was awesome because I ditched my waist belt, my shirt and stuff, my phone right there behind the building. Because I didn't have to worry about anybody taking it. So I was able to do the hill repeats, shirtless, which was awesome. Kept me a lot cooler and probably kept me from dying doing them. I did feel like I recovered a lot earlier in the week, and it was allowed me to build up and do some crazier things at the end of the week. So it's nice that I'm actually recovered now, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I feel a lot better than I have in the past couple weeks. Guess it's maybe the seasons, getting out of that winter into the spring feel, or just the weather and getting outside more makes you feel a little bit better. I raced Elport Borough 5K this weekend, finished in 17:23.85. Finished second. Some young kid beat me, but it was a hell of a battle. I was really excited about it. I never ran the course before. There's a lot of turns. It's relatively flat, but just a battle with that kid during the whole race, which is awesome, which I don't get to experience too much. If you watch the race recap, you get a better explanation of that. Did plan some of my bigger races more, looking at more of the aid stations, my ETAs, and what I'm going to carry. Got to go get some more supplies this week. Picked up another bucket for a drop bag. Little things like that. Got my races posted online. The different running groups. Hopefully get the registrations coming in a little bit earlier this year, since registrations are up a little bit earlier. Helps people get that on the schedule. Got my car scheduled for inspection. It's going to happen tomorrow. the two things I really didn't get done this week was getting the sticks cleaned up in the yard and lifting twice. I really just didn't feel like lifting at all this week. Not a big deal, but runners still need to lift a little bit. I was just kind of lazy, and my muscles were like, why don't you just not do anything this week? The sticks was basically because of the weather. I was going to wait till the weekend since I had a 3-day weekend. I was going to get it all finished up. Actually finished today, Monday, as I'm making this. Finished up earlier, cleaning up the sticks. It was a day late, but it was just a shitty weekend for things going on. I did see Creed 3 in the theaters. It was an alright movie. Not the best of the Creed movies. It was probably the worst of the three, in my opinion. Also saw Operation Fortune. I really enjoyed that movie more than Creed. It was just a spy movie. Nothing too special about either movie this weekend, but it gave me something to do. The reason why I say that is, the reason why I had a shitty week and the rest of the week was pretty good with school and work. I enjoyed school and work this week. I'm not going to say I say that often, but whatever. But there was a big storm Friday afternoon. It started really high gusts of wind, like 40 plus mile an hour winds. It just completely knocked tons of trees down, power lines, all kinds of havoc. It rained a bunch. It wasn't really thunder lightning, but it was more the wind, and just the rain made things so shitty, and things fell down all over the place. Counties, like Westmoreland, Cambria, Indiana. It was basically a shitstorm. But my power went out from 6 p.m. Friday to about 1 p.m. Sunday. So that's why I didn't get the sticks in the yard done this weekend, because I had to do other things because of the storm. Had to set up my generator to keep the refrigerator and the freezers running. And it just became miserable Friday afternoon. Couldn't do anything. And then Saturday, I raced in the morning, and then I had to make sure everything was safe, like generator. I had to get gas and all that. So I didn't really have much daylight by the time I got home. And then Sunday, I just probably got lazy because I went and ran 15 miles to Laurel Highlands with my buddy, but I didn't set the alarm, so I didn't even wake up till like 10 o'clock. Then I rushed out there, met them, like 11 miles into the run. Then by the time I get home, I was like, well, the power's back on now, so you might as well do 5 more on the road to get your 20, and then I bite 20. The thing was, with the weather, Friday night, it wasn't so bad in my house. Got a little bit cold, but I had some blankets. But I was being stubborn. I didn't go anywhere to stay. I could have went to my dad's, or a couple of my buddies said that they would put me up for the weekend or the night if I needed to, or even a hotel. I just stayed and froze, so that way I could, sort of relax and hope the power came back on. I was watching online for the power. Different people saying it was on, or ETA. ETA was the 7th at 10 p.m. So like, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So like basically 5 days it was going to be out. Luckily it came on yesterday, Sunday. But then Saturday night, by the time I got home and it got dark, I actually saw Creed early. And then I ended up watching Operation Fortune after that because the power wasn't back on yet. And I was like, well, what else am I going to do? So I might as well just stay and watch another movie. So I did that and got home at like midnight or 12:30, somewhere in that range, because I had to get gas and got some warm food. But Saturday night really sucked, I'll tell you that much. It was low 50s in my house all night. I just curled up under the blankets, a couple comforters and blankets, and just slept. I'd get hot, then I'd freeze, hot, then freeze. Then I could hear the generator running outside. was really annoying, so the sleep was kind of shitty. Um, so really a wasted weekend. I had some computer stuff I wanted to get done, design some shit. I didn't get to do that um, because of the power being out. So from Sunday and today, I was catching up on some stuff that I wanted to get done. So I got kind of put behind the eight ball a little bit with the power being out, and I didn't really get to relax at all this weekend, um, just because worrying about power and taking care of things, making sure stuff doesn't get spoiled, the cat taken care of, and you know just general things like that. But it was a good training week, I guess. Before then, um, trying to bank off of it, feeling a little bit healthier now. Not that I was really in any kind of bad shape or unhealthy, just feel like I'm bouncing back from like the low point of like that winter, whatever it's called, like uh, shit, sort of like, yeah, the seasonal depression, I guess is what it is. I'm finally getting over all that junk, because of the weather's been so nice. But looking forward to some of the races coming up because it's starting to get to be race season. Um, Good race season. What I mean by that is races that I'm more looking forward to that I circled on my calendar and planned out. Um, One thing I was like Friday night originally, Goggins Challenge was going to happen this weekend, the 4x4x48. I had no intention earlier in the week to do it. I had some people ask me if I was going to do it, and I said no. And then Friday, um, I ran 4 miles before the storm hit. Well, really hit. I got it in at like 5 o'clock, did 4 miles. And then I was like, hey, you know what? We'll see if I can do it, get it done, attempt it. Because since I had a 3 weekend, I figured I'd recover on Monday. So I was like, hey, you might as well try it. Then the power went out. I was like, ah, shit. I was like, whatever, it'll come back on within, 12, 14 hours. So then I ran it. Actually didn't run till like 10 o'clock because I went and got gas for the generator. And then I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, ran 4 more miles. I was like, all right, I'm going to get it done. The power will be back on. We can do it because the plan wasn't to run outside in the dark. It was just to do the treadmill because of the weather. Then when I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do the next 4 miles, I was like, it was completely pouring outside. The wind gusting was still like 40 miles an hour. And I was like, you know what? It's just not worth putting my body through it. I was like, you're going to run out of clothes if you don't have power, which, 3 out of my 5 pairs of running shoes were completely drenched at that point already into the 4x4x48. So it's like, just don't even attempt it because, you're not going to have time or, the way things are playing out. If you don't have power and you're going to have to go somewhere to stay, you're not going to be able to do it. So I was just like, all right, we'll have to wait and do it another time. I do plan on doing it another time. Wish this weekend would have worked out with the weather. I ended up making excuses, but I mean, if you would have seen the weather at 5 in the morning here in New Florence, you would have been crazy going out there. Because when I was running at 1 o'clock in the morning, there was branches falling around me. There's tons of branches on the ground. Uh, the firemen were out cutting up trees. It was just actually an unsafe thing to be actually out at 1 o'clock in the morning with the storm the way it was. And it wasn't any better at 5. It was actually worse at 5. It was just too dangerous. I don't want to go out there and get hit by like a widowmaker running the back roads at night. Nobody seeing me, then get hit by a car too. Either way, I do plan on attempting it and completing it this summer when the weather's a little bit better, but I guess that's what happens when you tell people you aren't going to do it and then you change your mind last minute. But either way, I guess that's my recap for the week. March 6th. What is it? March 6th through the 12th. I got a pretty hefty list that I'm going to try to attempt this week. probably fill probably about a quarter of the things that I have listed just because I won't have time, but you never know. I already banged out 20 miles today and on a long run on the road. Wanted to mix it up a little bit from yesterday's trails. Bike 20, so I'm a little bit ahead of the curve since I didn't have no school or work today. Um, so we'll see if I'm sore the rest of the week where I can bang out my goals and get some more things done. But that's my recap for February 27th through March 5th. Running wise, biking wise, exercise wise, just in general. As you'll see, some of these things will change in these training weeks as I progress to like the bigger races, which is the main focus while I'm doing these weekly recaps now, is to give people a heads up how my training's going, what I'm doing for the week, see if it catches on or if people get interested. So just keep a lookout for more.